Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Mark Roden, and in today's video, we're going to be going over 10, count it, 10 cars that you should never race. What I mean by that is if you are just driving around and you're a young wee little lad and you're like 17 years of age, I'm not condoning street racing, but let's face it, you're going to do it anyway. So you're going down to a red light, you pull up next to a car that looks a little bit modified, and you're like, I want to race that thing. These are 10 that you shouldn't. You should just sit back and watch them pull away, unless you want to be embarrassed. Unless you want to be humiliated and put on Instagram and been like, look at this kid in his daddy's BMW who thought he could beat me. If you want that, then yeah, go ahead, race him. But song of the day is by Urge Overkill, only song I know by these guys, and it's Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon. I mean, yeah, okay, I'm a guy, I get it. You're listening to a song about a girl's like going through her, you know, whatever hers. I don't care, it's a freaking good song. And if you think it's a bad song, ooh, I wish I could. I wish I could. I wish I could. Without further ado, let's go right into the video with number 10. Coming in at the number 10 spot is going to Mark IV or Mark V Supras. The reason why I put this at number 10 and not higher because, it's an obvious one. And that's the reason why, because I don't think most people are going to fall for it anymore. At this point, if you're in the car community, you know Supras are a powerhouse in racing, and it's going to be pretty damn hard for a car guy to pull up on a Supra and be unsuspecting victim at this point. Like back in the day, they used to have all those videos of, you know, Supras gabbing them and they don't even know what's going on. But nowadays, again, it's just next to impossible. Most people are going to gauze at the Supra itself anyway because it's so rare, especially Mark IVs. And so it's going to be pretty damn tough. Specifically, by the way, if they have the rear end jacked up. Have you ever seen the Mark IV Supras where the rear end has like tires that are bigger than my house? It is crazy. They look so sick, first of all, but also they're terrifying. The rear end looks like freaking Ice Spice. It's mind-blowing how massive that rear end is on the Mark IVs when they jack them up like that. It's crazy. Coming in at the number 9 spot is going to any Honda, but with aftermarket control arms. What I mean by that, partner, is you're most likely pulling up on the guy, right? He's not pulling up on you, so you're pulling up on the guy. Well, from the back, you can very clearly tell if a Honda's fast or not based off of his control arms, and they're always exposed because the way these Hondas work is, again, they kind of have a little bit of a rake situation going on, so the back end is a little bit jacked up, but on top of that, for some reason, the back bumpers on Hondas are always really high. They don't have aggressive, like, low slung back bumpers, so you can always see pretty much right under the car towards its suspension area. And if you see nice aftermarket control arms there connecting itself, just don't race them, because if they invested in the control arms on their freaking car, and I get it, you know, it's not that expensive for a Honda to do that, but if they did that, then chances are they've invested in a lot of other aftermarket parts as well, and Hondas, as we all know, are gonna smoke you. Okay, so just don't do it. I see it all the time. They look sick, but look at them from a distance. Coming in at the number 8 spot, this one's going to be a little bit tough. You know, you got to have a keen eye, or should I say keen ears, because it's any chopping LS. I don't know if, I feel like I hope you do know this, but if you don't know what chopping means, it's just like when the car sounds like it's got a misfire, to be honest. It's when it has upgraded cams in it, and so it's like vroom, 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 vroom. It's not a constant noise. If it's making that noise, and the muscle car typical noise, that thing is far from stock, buddy, and even just a cam alone in an LS is gonna be enough to smoke you. But if you hear it, that means it probably has an exhaust too. So now it has an exhaust, a cam, and whatever else the guy's done to the car, it's gonna smoke you. A stock LS is most likely gonna smoke you. And if it has if it's chopping like that, dude, run the other direction, okay? And that doesn't go for just like a Camaro. No, if you pull up on a Miata and it sounds like it's chopping, it's probably some crazy psychopath that just escaped a psych ward with an LS in his Miata. Don't race it. Don't race it. Coming in at the number 7 spot, this one's obvious, and that's kind of the reason why I put it at number 7. It's a GTR with bead blocks. A couple of these upcoming entries are going to be cars that you probably wouldn't race anyway, but maybe if you had like a tuned N55, you'd be like, okay, I'll give it a shot. This is one of those that you don't give it a shot no matter what you have. First of all, it's a GTR, okay? It has, now with bead blocks on it, that means that he's worried about this car debeading. That means it's making so much freaking power that he is worried the tires are going to debead. On top of that, he probably has the thickest tires you've ever seen. You could probably go up to next to those tires, measure them with your entire body, and if you're 5'10", you could be like, okay, yeah, that's a 5'10" diameter just by standing next to the tires. These GTRs are psychopaths. And then on top of that, they have bead blocks now. Don't do that. Like, even just a normal stock, bone stock, grandpa-driven, not even grandpa-driven, 12-year-old girl-driven GTR is not a good idea to race. But if it has beadlocks now on all 4 corners, that man is pushing some serious power. Don't do it. Coming in at the number 6 spot, this is another one that's like, you know, it's pretty obvious that you shouldn't race it no matter what, but if you have like a modified car, you might be able to think you can take them. It's a Lamborghini Huracan. Yeah, it's a fast car, but then when you go up behind it and the rear bumper's exposed, and you see some twin turbos hanging out there, yeah, no. It's just not a good idea. Okay, they are literally showing you, like, it's not even they're trying to hide it. They are showing you clear as day, hey, I am twin turboed, I am making 4 digits of horsepower, you must have at least 1,000 horsepower to be running with me, or an incredibly light car, and you're still gonna race them? Really? I don't think that's a good idea. You know, in my expert opinion, I think that's actually a horrible idea. I would go as far as to say it's one of the worst ideas I've ever heard. Especially if this Lambo itself is like blacked out. You know, they always the fast ones are murdered out. Like, you cannot see a freaking thing. You walk up next to that car, it's like a black hole, and you get sucked into it, and you never get to see your family again. Don't race them. That's going to be like the catchphrase for this video, by the way. Don't race them, because you just shouldn't race any of these cars. Number 5 is a Civic with a laptop. We already talked about Hondas before when it comes to the whole control arm thing, and that's cool. You know, maybe you see the control arm, so and you still think to yourself, okay, there's still a chance. You know, I got a freaking B58 making 700 horsepower under the hood. I'm good. You know, I'm good. It's got a control arm, so what? Maybe he only cares about the canyons. Well, we're not in the canyons, we're on the highway, so I should be able to get him. Then you pull up next to him, though, and you see his buddy smirking from ear to ear in the passenger seat. Looks like he just got off of work at McDonald's, and he's got a little laptop there, okay? And he's not playing freaking Clash of Clans. No, he's not playing Hearthstone trying to get the new Tavern Brawl done. He's not doing that, man. He's freaking tuning the car in the middle of it. In the middle. You know what that means? You know what I mean? He's going to look at your car. He's going to be like, imagine if he turned it down. Imagine the freaking pain that you would go through if you look at this guy's computer and he turns down the boost. He's like, oh yeah, we don't need this much boost for this guy. That is even more embarrassing. If he's willing to have his buddy in the passenger seat with a freaking computer tuning it while he's driving it, that man has done everything that you can think of to his Honda. It is not stock at all. Coming in at the number 4 spot is going to the Audi R8. Again, another car that's like, yeah, you wouldn't race it anyway, but this time with an exposed rear bumper again. Just like the Huracan, it really isn't going to be that much different from the Huracan, but in my opinion, it's just a little bit worse. And the reason why is because the Huracans are still cost around like $250,000, right? They're still really expensive cars. Audi R8s are kind of running around like 100 to 150K. It doesn't sound like that much, but when you think about it, dude, that guy's saving $150,000. And $150,000 all going into the Audi R8 to try and smoke these Lambos is pretty crazy. On top of that, it's an Audi R8. Okay, Lamborghini has always been the company that's like, okay, we're going to build a motor, it's going to be great, and then that's about it. You know, these aren't tuner cars. Audi is a tuner company. They have S4s, S5s, S6s, S8s. You know, they have cars that were built to be tuners. Audi themselves probably, I guarantee, knew that people were not going to keep this R8 stock, and so they made it be able to handle a little bit power. These R8s are absolute smoke shows, and on top of that, they're lighter than freaking Lamborghinis. They have quattro all-wheel drive, which is incredible. They're just don't do it. Don't do it. Coming in at 3rd place, however, let's talk about the Mitsubishi Lancer Evolutions with no wings. If this man is willing to get rid of style for aerodynamics on his Evo, an incredibly beautiful car, may I add, especially with the spoiler. In my opinion, an Evo without a spoiler looks horrible. I think the Evo with the wing on there is the only way it can be done. So if he's willing to take that wing off and make it just have better aerodynamics but look 10 times worse, just run. All that man cares about is beating you. He opens his eyes in the middle of the morning and he thinks to himself, oh man, I cannot wait to smoke that 17-year-old at that red light today. It is going to be so much fun. This is also an underrated one too. People don't really think, I mean, people know Evos are fast for sure, but I don't think they think they're as fast as they truly are. They are an incredible motor. Like, people talk about the Mark IV Supras 2JZ, the RB26. In my opinion, the 4G63 should be right up there with them. It is such a good motor. Coming in at 2nd place, however, is going to an unassuming BMW, a 335i or a 334 or 340i with GoPros on it. Yeah, if you pull up next to a BMW and it looks like it's not an M3, and you're like, okay, well, if it's not an M3, if it doesn't have the wider fenders, the wider arches, then it's probably just a stock one. It probably doesn't have anything. It's probably just some idiot BMW kid. That's most likely, like 90% of the time, that's going to be true, honestly. You know, it's definitely going to be true. But if it has GoPros on it, then no, it's not going to be true. It's the complete opposite. Also, if he has like a whatever the JNW, I think is what it's called, whatever JKW, whatever the tuning company that they have, if he has one of those stickers on there, again, run. MHD, I know MHD is one, run again. All that guy has to do, either way, even if he has a 335i or a 330 or a 340i, all that guy has to do to make 500 horsepower is go full bolt-ons. That's it. That's all he has to do for 500 horsepower. Full bolt-ons. Now, if he has GoPros on it, he's definitely not full bolt-ons. He's probably E85, upgraded turbos. The guy's probably making 700, 800 horsepower. And it's not even, it's a daily driver. It is just not worth the embarrassment. But of course, first place, the #1 car that you should never race, no matter what you're in, is a Fox body Mustang with mismatched panels. If it looks like a piece of crap, but that engine is probably like a 1,000 horsepower LS in a car that weighs less than a Hot Wheels. It is mind-blowing. The reason why people put these in the Fox bodies, they have a really short wheelbase, they have a really good rear end to handle it all, they're incredibly lightweight, and they can take the LS with absolutely pretty much no change whatsoever. And LSs, again, as like we talked about before, are incredible motors. And if he literally has a mismatched panel, piece of junk, freaking hood is off of it, the rear end looks like diarrhea, and all that he has on the car that you can see that's like modified is it has bigger tires, and it has an LS in it, and small front tires. Dude, that guy couldn't care less about how cool he looks in his Fox body Mustang. He literally, if a Prius could go as fast as his Fox body Mustang, I'm sure he would buy it. That's all he cares about, is going fast. If you even encounter one of these on the road in general, it's like you discover like a legendary minion. But let me tell you, don't race them. I mean, we've seen the 1320 videos. Do you learn nothing? You know, are you stupid? You know, are you just gonna, even if it doesn't have an LS, it probably is still a bad idea to race these cars. What if they put like a freaking 2J in them? I mean, that would be wild, but still, what if they did? You know, you don't know. It's just scary. But ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of today's video of the 10 cars that you should never race, no matter what kind of car that you are in. Now, obviously, this doesn't apply to people that have like 800 horsepower freaking GTRs and 700 horsepower freaking Camaros and Mustangs, and it doesn't apply to you guys. But if you're like me, you know, who has pretty much a stock car, and he just likes racing for fun, and he doesn't want to be embarrassed on the internet for it, yeah, I would stay away from these guys. I've had my fair share. My friend has a 335i E90 actually, and it makes like 450 horsepower with, again, just FBO, and that thing it's just stupidly fast. It really is. It's stupidly fast, and every time I race against it, I mean, it's with my friend, so it's fun. But dude, if he was not my friend, he'd be posting that video all over the internet. I'd be embarrassed, you know. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Das vidanya, and have a nice night.